This video is brought to you by Squarespace. More on those later.
Hello and welcome to Broadsword Wargaming. My name is Kira and today we are building a Necron board. I know that you have seen Ollie do one-day board builds before, so I wanted to see if I could do 2-hour board build on my Twitch channel. We did it, so we decided to make it into a YouTube video and show you guys how you can make a Necron board super speedy fast. It was my first ever board build, so stay tuned to see how I got on.
Hello, my name is Oliver and I'm going to be guiding you through this as your voiceover wizard for this video. Now we are focusing on a Necron board, but of course the skills and the techniques we use here could apply to any other kind of build. To start off, get yourself some 5mm ply and some 2x1 wood as an edging to make the baseboards. Then some cheap polystyrene, this is 22mm thick, cut it with a knife or a blade and this will make up the landforms and the general shape of your build. To make the landforms look even better, we are going to be using the Woodland Scenics rock molds, along with some Geek Gaming fine casting plaster, available from broadswordwargaming.com down below. Simply add water to the casting plaster, fill the rock molds with it, and then when it's dried after about 10 to 20 minutes, pop them out. If you've not seen rock molds before, I do have a video showing you how to use them. Kira did a great job here and required no help from me, so well done to her. Now we have a whole load of rock molds, probably enough for this board and maybe a couple left over. Next up, we want to glue the polystyrene down, so we are going to be using the high-grade PVA, but of course you can use wood glue or anything else you like. Just make sure it doesn't melt the foam too much, otherwise it won't stick. Get a big old dollop, spread it around, squidge it, and then push down and leave some weights on top of the foam, and this will let it set. This doesn't need to set completely because we are going to be using another product, and this is modeling compound. Again, similar to the casting plaster, but with a few bits of insulation in there. I'm not entirely sure on the ingredients, it's kind of magic. Add this to a box, add some water, and then you end up with a tuna mayonnaise, egg mayonnaise kind of paste. This sets really quickly. Obviously the wetter you make it, the longer it'll set, but it is quite thick, and not only is it good for landforms, it's good for putting down structures and fixing things to the board. The board you make doesn't have to have any fixed structures at all, but I've got some 3D printed Necron roads. These have been knocking around in the back of the studio for about 3 years, so I figured it was time to use them for something. It did take us a little while to figure out where we wanted to place these, but once they were fixed, they're fixed. And I just don't think Necrons would have a sort of wonky road system. We had some modular terrain we were going to put either side, so I really wanted to make sure we could fit everything we wanted around the board if we were to move the board about. Once the modeling compound has dried and set, just smooth down the edges and you end up with the beginnings of a battlefield. You can see we have some polystyrene and we also have the roads going diagonally across the board. Next up is attaching the rock molds to the board. This is a bit of a skill, it does take a bit of practice, but using the modeling compound, fix these to the polystyrene. Squidge it in between all of the gaps, smooth it down with your finger, and as it starts to dry, wet your finger and then just keep smoothing it down. If you find you have rather large gaps between two different rock molds, you can engrave this with a scrapey little pokey tool, anything you like. Just try to recreate a rock face. Now, would it be a video if Kira wasn't drinking something? Of course it wouldn't, so there she goes.
I can't see your face at all, obviously. I can just see
I know, I'm trying to ruin your shop.
You did a good job.
With both the board and the dance moves finished, it's on to spraying. Now I'm using some cheap black spray cans. This is a €1 spray can from the Euro shop. Cover this all over the rock faces and then hit them with a grey as a highlight or whatever colours you decide you want to do. There are other ways to paint rocks, but doing a full board like this in less than 2 hours, we didn't have a ton of time. I also tried to cover as much of the wood as I could in case it showed through. Now a quick word from our sponsors, Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform. It's easy to set up and comes with a ton of pre-built website templates. I managed to add products, logos, and designs in just a few minutes. You could use this to sell your miniatures or art, whether that's physical or digital art, or perhaps you just want a way to help you to stay focused and finish a project. If so, why not make a blog, even if it's just for yourself? If that sounds good, check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/broadswordwargaming to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Right. Back to the video. Now it's on to the fun part. Get the PVA glue again and smother this all over the wooden parts or anywhere you want to put ground covers. The advantage to using PVA glue is it stays wet for quite a while and mainly, it's really cheap. Get this everywhere in all of the nooks and crannies. Don't worry too much if you get it on bits of the rock faces, because we are going to use the base ready Grimdark City Rubble available from the website down below. This is going to be placed up against the larger rock faces. We're going to use it to simulate smashed or broken or fallen rocks. It's very much like a slaty kind of size, a slaty kind of texture, but of course, the more rock sizes you use, the more realistic your boards are going to look. To me, that already looks pretty darned cool. But fear not, we are going to make it look even better. We are going to use the base ready Volcanic Island. This is still black, still rocky, but a little bit smaller. And now we can start to simulate the differences that you find out in nature. We want this board to look as realistic as possible. Yes, I know it's set in the 40th millennium. It's a load of robots tomb world, but the more different textures and size, rock forms and ground faces you have, the better. Which is where the Grimdark tomb world comes in. It's even finer, and it has green gems in. And let's be honest, are Necrons even Necrons unless they have a ton of green gems hoarded around somewhere?
Oh, this looks so good! The base ready is going further than I thought it would.
It does, doesn't it?
Oh, I think I inhaled some.
Alright, wait till you start using grouts. Now, I flip that over the other bits as well. See if there are any gaps in.
Oh my, this looks fab. That looks so good. That looks so good. Look at it. It's so sparkly as well.
As you can see, Kira was quite excited to use this. She's never used any of these products before, and I think she's done a cracking job. The board at the moment is wet. The PVA glue is still drying. This was immediately after we had placed all of the gems and the ground forms everywhere. It will dry out. It will start to look more matte. But before we move on, Kira wanted to add some of the yellow gems, just a few piles here and there to break up the board a bit. We did that and then added some of the sand in between just to make sure they didn't stand out too much. Now at this point, I went back in with a black spray can, sprayed over the edge of the board and over the road, and in random patches where I wanted there to be a difference between the grey ground cover and the black of the gloss spray. A special shout out to Death Ray Designs. They sent us this, which is the Necropolis Set, perfect for modular Necron boards. I'm not gonna lie, this is where a bit of cheating comes in. The rest of the board up until this point did take 2 hours, but I wanted to make sure this board popped. I tried several different things to make the glowy effects down the middles of the roads. This was using just the paint watered down, but I wasn't actually happy with the result. So I resprayed it black and went back in again with the same paint with my airbrush. There are a whole ton of ways you could have done this. I'm not sure if I picked the best way at the end, but I was happy enough with the result when I got there. It just took absolutely ages. I'm not going to punish you with the whole time at normal speed, so I'll speed it up just to give you an idea of the size and scale of doing this. Ultimately, this was after one color, not over white, nothing fancy, just with an airbrush. You could do it with a paintbrush. I did the same to the terrain, and as you can see, I'm starting to get the glowy Necron effect. But I did need to push it further, so I got the next color up, which is Moot Green, one of Games Workshop's lighter colors, and sprayed this into anywhere where I figured it would look nice, any of the corners or the bigger parts on the road. Again, it did take a while and it took quite a lot of control, but once it was done, it started to look better. Here's how we ended up. I could have gone one more step and added in a white or a yellow just to make it super pop, but I didn't want to distract from the models or whatever else was on the board. Finally, I went in with a little wash here. This is Athonian Camo Shade into all of the recesses. My thinking was that it would help sell the 3D glowy Necron effect. And that is how it looked in the end. It's quite hard to show you the exact contrasting colors there, but with the board build complete, we just covered it in matte scenic sealant a couple of times, left it for 24 hours, and then that is it. Get those models down, get them on, and you can start playing. This is perfect for Killteam, or if you want to make a demo board or a display board for your store, or just to have something cool to try out. All of the things we've shown you here work in any different board or any different setting, just use the same techniques we've used here. If you enjoyed this video, please do check out all the links down below. There's links to my Patreon, to the shop, where you can buy pretty much all of the products we've used. That's enough from me. It's back to Kira for her final thoughts.
We did it! Look! Look! I made a board! I made a board in 2 hours. I'm like impressed. This is you can't have this. I made this myself. What do you think? That was so easy. Loads of green gems, sparkly bits. I did a rock mold by myself with no help. This is amazing. The Grimdark Tomb World is insane. It's got so many glittery green gems in it. I just want to pour it all over my house. The rock bowls were really, really easy. The road looks really cool. Thanks to Ollie for airbrushing some green details in because that really brought it up. But you can use whatever terrain you have lying around. Just spray it black to match, it'll be fine. It looks so Necron-y. I don't even know what Necron-y is supposed to look like, but I feel like it's this. I just think that was so easy. We did it in 2 hours. I mean, what more do you want? If I can do this in 2 hours, you can do a board build at home. So let me know if you're going to use any of the techniques we used today in the comments. Let me know if you've made a board before, what you would do differently. I mean, there's a lot of things we could add to this, but I was trying to keep the time down for the stream and I'm really, really impressed. Look at it. Look at it. I did this. I'm happy. I'm gonna go and play some Killteam, I guess. Thanks for watching the video and I'll catch you next time.